Welcome back to episode 8 of Creator Conversations, where I get the chance to talk to some of the most influential content creators in this personal finance and credit card niche we find ourselves in. In our last episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Kevin Yang about how he's able to get such great redemptions with his credit card points, specifically as it comes to luxury travel, his overall credit card strategy, what credit cards he plans on adding next, his experience starting his own YouTube channel while working a full-time job, and much more. In today's episode, I got the chance to talk to one of my good friends in the creator space, who not only puts out great videos, but is also a staple in the live streaming space of our niche. That, of course, being Anthony Venture. Not only do we talk about his love for live streaming and connecting with his audience in that way, but we also discuss our thoughts on Amex as a whole right now with all of the weird things they've been doing lately. Plus, we dive into Anthony's overall credit card strategy, which does include the God Trifecta, as that setup has been coined. We also get into how he chooses to redeem his credit card points, and of course, much more. As always, I hope y'all enjoy this one as much as I did. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome in Anthony Venture into our conversation here today. Anthony, how's it going?
How's it going, man? I'm doing good. I'm out here. I'm in the sun. I'm in the sun. It's blinding me a little bit, but we're doing good. Yeah.
We make do. That's what I love about your whole studio there. It's mobile. You never know what's going to happen with it, but it makes it interesting every video. So
yes, I think the Japanese call it wabi-sabi. It's that which is perfect because it's a little bit effed up. So it's a little bit messed up, I should say.
All good. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. I know a lot of people have probably seen your content if they're in the credit card space, and I think you've kind of made a niche for yourself within the credit card niche of being, very entertaining and doing different styles of content, which, not everybody experiments with. So I really appreciate that about your channel. But obviously, if anybody hasn't seen you before, I guess now they can. But I wanted to go ahead and just kick this whole thing off by starting with just how you got started. So if you can tell us a little bit about how and why you got started on YouTube, and we'll just, take it from there.
Gotcha. And I got to just say, before anything, Spencer, I really appreciate you having me on, man. I do the live streams on my side, and you got the record ones, and, eventually I figured we'll meet in the middle eventually.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you having me on and everything. But as far as this getting started, you have mentioned, I believe, in the past that, like, hey, I didn't grow up on cable. I didn't necessarily grow up on TV shows. I grew up on YouTube. Like a lot of people have watched things, and over the years, at least the last, I would say, 10 plus years of watching YouTube, I've had, the sum total of all the knowledge that I've probably ever gained in my life, the little that I have, is all from YouTube mentors. These are people like, if we go back, like Elliot Holst for working out and philosophy, maybe meet Kevin for, just his style of doing YouTube and just knowledge in real estate, and a few others. So it's like growing up and having these sort of mentors along the way, and realizing like, it was all on YouTube. It wasn't anywhere else. That was the main spark for me. Like, YouTube's a great thing. And I think the YouTube, like, library, the what do you call it? The Library of Alexandria? Something like that. I don't know. It's just like all of the knowledge in the world is on YouTube. So I was like, man, I would love to just be doing that one day, and eventually it came to a point where, like, hey, pandemic hit, talks of moving away from my home state of New York, moved down to South Carolina, and now I had a lot of free time where I never really had that before. And now I decided, like, hey, let's take my passion for what I know at least a good amount on, and I would feel comfortable talking about on camera, being the credit card niche. And I haven't really looked back, and as well as I do, we kind of, we started around the same time, and it's the best community, the best people, the funniest people. I love everybody in this community. I wouldn't have it any other way. So that's kind of how I started in the YouTube world, and I'm just running with it now. This is all I want to do. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I do think that this community is like the best on YouTube. I guess everybody might say that about their niche, but I really do feel like I feel like ours is one where everybody, or most people, have the thought process that a rising tide lifts all boats, which is very different from other niches. That's what I love about it, because I know, me and you and a bunch of other guys have been in group messages since we started on YouTube, basically. Like, that's pretty cool to see, us still communicating on a daily basis about what we love to do. I think you've definitely been a big part of that, especially because you and Calby, I feel like, also have been. Calby, how do you say his last name?
Oh no. We were just talking about this. Some people were like mispronouncing it. So I guess you could say ing or apparently. So either or. So filler words, right?
Exactly. But yeah, you and Calby, I think, definitely sparked a lot of inspiration for live streams in our space, which is something I want to talk about here in a little bit too. But before we even get there, can you give everybody kind of like a rough timeline of when you got started on YouTube, and I guess what pushed you to make that leap into, credit card specific content in general? I know you said you had, a bit of a passion for it, but I feel like there's always a little bit of a spark maybe. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's funny. I have an unlisted video on this channel. I will never unlist it. I think, or unlisted. I'll never list it. I guess I'll never make it
Yeah.
public. But it was talking about Tesla stock, and it was just a voiceover. And I remember the video had like a minute pauses while I was reading what I wrote as a script, and I actually spoke it out, and I didn't know how to cut anything, so I ended up being like I think like an 8-minute video, and I did edit a little bit. But it was just talking about Tesla stock and what it was doing at that time. It must have been 2020, maybe even. Yeah, like 2020 is when I uploaded it, and then I got rid of it. Got like a few views. So that technically was the first foothold in the world of YouTube. So that kind of got me started. But I knew nothing. Obviously, nobody knows anything when you get started. So
Right.
no thumbnail. Didn't know how to do that. So it was just a screen grab of something in the video. Didn't know how to speak. Didn't know how to do anything. So write anything.
Yeah.
So then. And it all stems back to, again, moving down to South Carolina. That was everything. Because, now is the time I had the free time where I actually could spend the hours to learn, research, and then put that research into play, which actually is recording a video, learning how to edit, learning how to do thumbnails, etc. So that's really all it was. It was like I have so much free time, and when I first got down here, I said, I've been working for so long, 14-hour days every single day. I was like, let me just do nothing and only what I want to do for the next 3 months, and that happened to be working out and then starting the YouTube channel. And my first video was uploaded April 4th, 2021, right?
Gotcha.
I think so. Wait,
yeah,
2022?
I was gonna say I get the years wrong. I think I started in 2022. Yeah.
Yes. We've started around. Sorry, yes, April 4th. I wasn't even here in 2021. It's April 4th, 2022, and that was the first video. And I think the first video was how I saved money during the oil crisis, where I was talking about the cost comparison of a Tesla Model 3 and a Camry, a Toyota Camry, and how it possibly could have saved you money in the long term. And then, but basically, why I kind of got started in the credit card niche, which was I in the beginning, I had an idea of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule because that's what Graham Stephan always did. So I just thought, okay, it'll be Monday, a general finance video, a Wednesday, probably another general finance, and a Friday credit cards. So I did that, I think, for a couple weeks, 3 weeks. And I realized, hey, the credit card videos, they did a little bit better, right? I think I released a Platinum one, a Hilton one, and they did a little bit better. And then after just going back on myself a million different times, do I want to just do general finance? It's kind of boring to me. You can only talk about a few things. There's a lot of things you could talk about, but it seems like all roads lead to Rome, and that you go, okay, S&P 500, invest, save your money, here you go, boom. Right. But credit cards is so variable. It's this one gives you money for rent. This one has an unlimited limit. The Brex card, it's so many different random things that can, go into credit cards and multipliers that there's always something to talk about, and there's always something interesting, and it's so actionable. Anybody, at least if you have just a regular credit score, maybe 500, 600, 700, you can get your first credit card and start building credit score tomorrow. Literally tomorrow, you can start putting these plans into action, or start getting these high, amazing credit cards to give you good vacations and stuff. So that's kind of how it started. That's how I went with the niche in the first place.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I know a lot of the YouTube advice out there, well, it depends on what you're listening to, but a lot of YouTube advice tells you to pick your niche almost before you get started, and you need to have it ironed out in your mind right when you start. But I've seen that a lot of the higher performing channels did start with just talking about whatever they were passionate about, and one niche in particular starts to prevail out of those. And it's interesting to hear that credit cards, for a lot of people that want to do personal finance, is the thing that for whatever reason sticks really, really hard. So it's pretty cool. Because actually I talked to Joshua Butler too yesterday, but I guess time of this coming out, I don't know what day that was, but but he said the exact same thing because he started general personal finance and then posted a couple credit card videos, and those are the ones that stuck really heavily. So it's really interesting. I started, I guess, my channel pretty nailed down on the credit cards. I think I posted some debit card things. Basically I was just documenting whatever I was doing. And at the time that was, learning how to play the credit card game. And I'm obviously still really passionate about it. And that's just now I feel like I'm trying to become an expert in it, and that's the fun part of the credit card game. Yeah. I think too, you mentioned you had more free time to make the YouTube channel happen, but a lot of people would not take that free time and turn it into a YouTube channel or try to make it into a business. So I guess what do you think, what qualities do you think you have that kind of prompted you to go that route? Because that is an ambitious thing to do, right? I mean, putting yourself on camera is ambitious. So I know there's probably a lot of people listening that have been oh, I know a lot about this stuff. I could talk about it as a YouTube channel, but won't take that final step because it's pretty nerve-wracking. So I guess what pushed you to do this particularly?
So you are right. I guess that is true. It's true that most people maybe won't dedicate the free time to, building something that offers, no money, no nothing for the first year, something like that. Most people just got to get a job right away. Truthfully, if I was in any other situation, probably would have never started it. Had I moved down here and had to jump right into an apartment and everything and had to start paying bills, boom, I would had to get a job immediately and go. But I had the freedom of staying at my fiance's parents' house, which is everything. So not to say I could have I always kind of felt like I would have ended up here because I talked about it so much over the last few years, but I wouldn't have been able to grow at all. Probably I would have had a video every couple months or something, just based on how, when I work, usually like in all the jobs I've ever done, it's like I do nothing but that. Like like before this, when I was in New York, it was I was a driving teacher. I also taught what's called a 5-hour class, and that basically just allowed people who were 17, 18 to actually get a road test. So I just allowed them. So that was kind of in person. But so I was doing that. So like my 7 days a week, I was doing 12, 14 hours because that's just like, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to do anything else. I have nothing else to do. Might as well just go work. So you mentioned, a lot of people wouldn't do that in their free time. And what did you ask? You said why?
Yeah, like what kind of qualities do you think you possess to make you want to do that?
Well, I guess it's tough to say because you have to be someone that, I would say the biggest outlier. I think the best quality to have would be if you're a person that is not afraid to jump headfirst into something and make a million mistakes. Literally, that's it. It might seem cliche hearing that, but that literally is the only blueprint you need in life to get to where you want to be, I think. Any job I ever had in the past, any particular skill that I wanted to learn, all I did was I learned a little bit, intermediate, elementary stuff, and then I jumped into it, and I made so many mistakes, and I had to ask people questions. I remember when I was just starting out in an office job, same driving school. I the first day I was jumping on the phone, and people would ask a question, and they would say, how much is this 5-lesson package, or can I take a road test at 17? And I'll be, 1 second, let me ask, and then I go ask, my coworker, and that happened 50 times that day. But during that process, I learned so much because it's like the necessity is where the learning comes in. You are forced to absolutely learn, and to get this done. So same thing with YouTube. I never would have thought to think of a foundation of what I needed before YouTube. No matter how many videos I watched, I wouldn't have thought to figure out, where's my recording setup going to be? What is the difference in 720p and 1080p? How the hell do you edit on iMovie or CapCut? What thumbnail is enticing, etc.? You wouldn't even, it wouldn't make sense to try to research that beforehand. You only know once you're confronted with the problem. So I think that's the main quality. I mean, I could be crazy on camera, whatever. I could get a little wild, but the main quality is I'm never afraid to just jump into something because I know no matter what, if I can trust myself and if I know myself, I'll mess up immensely, but then I'll figure it out. I'll look back at my YouTube videos. Commenters hate me. I make mistakes. I say the wrong things at times, and I hate it. And I hate that, but I know that I have to do that to become an expert in a particular field. So that's what I think is the main quality.
Exactly right. And on the topic of those commenters too, you have to realize that a lot of people that are taking the time to comment, or there's only a select number of people that are taking the amount of time to comment. You might have a video with 10,000 views and 100 people comment. So you're getting a very specific viewpoint from somebody that wants to take the time to do that. So a lot of people do enjoy the content despite the mistakes, and they realize you just make them and they don't call them out. But I know exactly what you mean, because whenever I see that first comment being like, oh, that's actually not true, I'm like, oh my God, the whole video's ruined.
I feel horrible. I'm like, I'm taking it down. This is just, I'm so stupid. How can I not think to do that? But sometimes when you're editing for like 14 hours, you sometimes overlook like the smallest detail. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm so stupid. But then you fix it for the future. You make sure it never happens again. That's the main thing.
And you add a pinned comment. That's what I do.
Yes, same. Yes.
But yeah, that's really cool. I think you hit it right on the head. I'm somebody that definitely goes through like analysis paralysis a lot of times with a lot of things. Like I'm like, I need to make sure this is right before I get started. And I think YouTube was my first attempt at something that I didn't really do that. I did do a lot of research beforehand, but I realized, like you're saying, that it's something where I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. And the only way to learn is by actually posting videos. And a lot of people don't get over that first hurdle, because that is once I did that, it was kind of like the dam broke, and I was just like, I could make whatever I wanted to. And I got like really passionate about it quickly. But it took a few months for me to be like, honestly, it probably took me years if you think about how many times I thought about making a real YouTube channel, again, I wouldn't have made it in personal finance when I was 14, but I've always really liked the idea of making a YouTube channel. So yeah, I just like hearing other people's perspectives. I think one other perspective that you might have, I don't know if you'd identify as this, but I was talking to Josh about this as well, where I feel like a lot of, especially personal finance creators, would probably classify themselves as introverts. But I feel like you are somebody that's like more outgoing and extroverted than a lot of other people in our space are. Is that how you would identify yourself, or what do you think about that?
It's tough to say. I do have some views on this. So my entire life, before the age of 21, very different person. This is a guy who's, Anthony Venture is a guy who's, very quiet, no friends my entire life. So it's just me, and it's my YouTube videos. Like when I say literally my mentors were these YouTubers, I learned everything from them, and they guided me throughout I can't stress that enough. They guided me through every area of my life, whether it was through jobs and relationships, going to marriage, hardships within friends. Like I've never been depressed because I just didn't think it made sense necessarily. And I kind of chose my fate in that way. I was like, I'm just going to be alone. I never really fit in with anybody. So it's just like, I was good with everybody, but I never belonged to any particular clique. So I just never, I don't know. I just always, no matter what, at the end of the day I'm going to come home and watch my YouTube videos. That's where I'm. So I was quiet all the way. The only reason I actually started getting more outgoing and becoming better with people is when I actually got a people job. And that's what I recommend to a lot of young men now who I speak to, or I used to speak to when I was a driving teacher, because I used to have 16, 17, 18-year-olds who didn't know how to talk to people, and I told them like, hey, you're good. I didn't have any girlfriend until I was 21. It was the first any human interaction I really had until I was 21. So, and the reason was because I was forced to be personable. I had to sit in a car with somebody and teach them how to drive, and I'm 21 years old. And they're sometimes 30 and they're 40, and I'm nervous because, can I teach someone how to drive? Are they going to look at me because I'm young? So in that, I kind of developed a personality to kind of jive with anybody who stepped in that car, whether they were from, and it was all countries. I met people from Japan, China, Egypt, some people in Germany, like every country you could think of. I've driven with somebody in that way. So I've been able to communicate and learn how they speak and what's funny to them, etc. So, so I say that to say, you mentioned maybe I'm a little more outgoing than some people in the space. It's really just, at the end of the day, if I'm being really candid, I do like being an entertainer of sorts. I like to be a little bit ridiculous. It's just fun for me. It's where I get a lot of my energy from. But I can't say I was always like that. And I'm very easily turned off. If I'm editing, I'm very good to be alone, just do nothing, just watch my YouTube videos, and you'll notice a difference in shift. If I'm not doing this very often, if I'm not talking to people often, I go back to my shell, and that's it. So it's a developed skill. I think anyone who wants to be outgoing, just talk to people, just do it, do it more often. That's it.
That's such a good point, because I always tell people, like, I would call myself an introvert, but I can be an extrovert when I need to. That's like what I always tell people, which is kind of what you're talking about. Like in a job, I worked, a lot of restaurant jobs when I was younger, basically all having to do with people, like customer service in some way, all the jobs I've had. So that is, I think, a skill that I've developed over time. And then when it comes to YouTube, I obviously you have to kind of turn on that side of your personality to make it interesting. But at the same time, whenever I'm not filming, it's very much the same way. I can go back and like sit there and edit or sit there and do stuff on my computer for 10 hours and not talk to anybody. And I'm perfectly happy. So it's a very interesting trait that a lot of us have.
Were you a waiter at a restaurant? Or?
Yeah, I was a server. I did like the serving, bartending, all that stuff. So
really, wow.
Yeah.
You gotta be social with that.
A bunch of odd jobs around, but yeah, it is really interesting to me, because I feel like that is a common trait among, like, at least all of the people that we talk to on a regular basis. Most people I would say they get more of their energy from being alone than they do being with a bunch of people. But then whenever you're talking to thousands of people on YouTube, you somehow are now more outgoing, and you're more of a people person in that way. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, very true.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it stems back to personality types. I look into MBTI a lot. I've told you before. I think you're an ESTP. I've looked at it in the past. I think that does stem from it, depending on, I think this is an overarching, if you're in the credit card community, you're more likely to be an introvert and probably like a logician, probably someone who's very logical and etc. Someone who wants to search through data, very analytical people. So typically, I think on average, those people are more introverted on average. I think. That's
a fair assumption. I don't know. I like to talk about that kind of thing too. I mean, obviously that has nothing necessarily to do with credit cards, but at the same time, I think it does. I think we all can have some shared experience there. But yeah, let's switch gears back to the YouTube stuff. I mentioned I wanted to talk more about your, I guess maybe newfound love for live streaming, or maybe old found at this point. You've been doing it for a while, but I think you've really inspired me to be somebody to start live streaming, because I just see the personal connection that you can have with it, and it's super, super enjoyable. And like, that's why I do YouTube, is to meet with actual people. Like, that's the whole point of me doing this. But I guess, can you just tell us a little bit more about why you love live streaming, how you got started, and yeah.
So I guess it's two part. I guess it's two parts. So when I said it for a while, I think well, to my fiance and stuff, I used to say, when I hit 1,000 subs, I want to do a live stream a week. That's just, I want that to be a thing. So I think I said that maybe 500, 600, 700 subs, and then I put a community post out when I was right around, I just hit 1,000 subs, and I said, what do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about weekly live streams, like every Saturday? And overwhelmingly, it was positive. So I said, all right, I'm doing it. So the reason I did that, though, there was a reason. The reason was I've been following Meet Kevin. People probably can tell. I've watched him. I've watched him a lot, and I think I've watched him since 2019. And he used to do weekly live streams. He did them for real estate. And I think he was doing them, I don't know, I as early as I could find, he was doing them at like 10K subs, something like that. So in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna hit 1K and I want to do a weekly live stream. I love the way he used to do them. I used to watch all of them. Very interactive with the community, answering questions, and that's kind of what I really love at my core. At my core, I love just being in the heart of a little bit of chaos, and I can dance. I can dance with a lot of things that are going on at once, and I love being in that zone where I'm like, people coming in, boom, let's hit you with one. Let's hit you with one. I don't know. I just love that. I love that. I used to love it because it kind of brings me back to the 5-hour class I used to teach. That was over Zoom in front of 30 different people. 30 different people. And there's a certain energy that you get when you have 30 people that are watching, and we're all together, and I'm getting them in on the learning, and they're teaching me some things. There's something I really just, in my heart, I know I love it. There's something about it. So it's like, because I was learning from them too. It's not just the teacher sitting up there like, you have to make a left turn here. It was, what's your experience with this particular stop sign in this area? Like, oh yeah, people used to go through that. I don't know. I just love getting everybody in on it. So the live streams was that, plus more, because now it's, it's obviously grown to have a little bit more people. And now we're talking about credit cards, which I'm a little bit more passionate about than driving. And just the lives and the people that you meet along the way. I just, you could tell. Like, I think there's probably a path for me in the future where I'm just a live only channel. But I don't know. I just have so much fun, and I learn so much from everybody, and I hope I can be as entertaining and as knowledgeable as possible. So this way people take time out of their day to come hang out with me. And that's why I try to bring some guests on who are more interesting and more knowledgeable now. So, that's my passion for it. That's why I started, though. Me, Kevin did it once a week, and I said, I'm doing that. I want to do it.
Yeah. That's really cool. I think it's a big untapped, marketplace for especially our type of content. Like, I think you, Chad, Calby, like, y'all are all, starting to pave that path forward. But I think it's something that I want to implement more, because, like I said, that is the point of YouTube. It sounds like it's the point for you, is to have that real human interaction. And you get that with, comments on a normal video, but you don't really live and breathe it until you're actually like live. And honestly, we can make a lot of different mistakes when we're recording, not live. Like, we're doing this not live in case we make mistakes, but we could easily do this live and do it that way, which is what you've been doing, which I think is really cool. And so I really love that. Whether it's a YouTube strategy thing where people are going to tell you to do it or not, that doesn't really matter in this case, because the whole point of YouTube is like to have the experience with the community, I think. So that's like the biggest way I've found to do it. But yeah, I really enjoy that you do that. And the fact that you got it from like Meet Kevin, like that's another platform or channel that I used to watch a while back too. Especially when every stock was going up back in like 2020 or whatever, and it's like, oh, everybody's really smart, so I'm going to keep watching these guys. But
I started listening to your last business banter. I think I was like 15 minutes in or something. I remember you said you were watching Jeremy Financial Education and I guess you said Meet Kevin and stuff. Andre, for dividends. That's right. Same. Same.
They really were a powerhouse. I mean, I guess they still are in a way, but controversy aside.
Right. I think we could do that too. I think we could be like the dynamic, whatever, however many people we have, quintuple it, 10 people. But we could all dominate and be those kind of people too, as long as we don't start chilling, NFTs and Sam Bankman-Fried stuff. And I think we'll be fine.
No, that is a really good point, though. I think that is, interestingly enough, what we've kind of started to try to do with our like smaller group within the credit card community is to have our own like, I don't know, like little squad, I guess, that we can live stream with and talk with. Like we're in, I don't know, people don't really know the behind the scenes of stuff, but we are in like Instagram, a big Instagram group message with like 10 of us creators. And now we have a Discord also with like a few extra guys that we just actually like sit down and talk with each other all the time, which I think is so cool. And that's honestly a big part of what made me want to start doing these videos as well, because I love getting to talk with other creators, because obviously we have a shared interest in credit cards, but we also have a shared interest in the journey of being a YouTuber. So
yeah, and I gotta say that I took inspiration from you when you put out like your first creator conversations. I was like, that's pretty cool. I said maybe I'll do that live, and then and then I had Calby on and I started doing that. So I definitely got inspiration from you when you put those out. But you dedicate. You have a better production quality than me. I was like, I'm just gonna go live. I was like, we'll see what happens. Yeah,
I think there's plenty of room for both. That's why I love that you're doing it, and why I'd love to come on your show sometime just to chat with you on there.
Definitely.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about all of that stuff YouTube. I think we'll come back to a little bit at the end here, but I know a lot of our audience loves credit cards, so I feel like we should probably talk some about that. But I think the easiest place to start is to maybe just have you explain your overall like kind of credit card strategy, like what kind of points you like, team cashback, team travel, all that kind of stuff.
So I always like to be a little careful, because I do mention team travel. However, I haven't necessarily traveled. So I want to make that clear. Okay. In a second, I'm about to admit that I am team travel, but I haven't traveled. Okay, I've been to Florida, I've been to Nashville, I've been to like 10 different states, etc. But I haven't flown internationally. I haven't even flown to the West Coast until Vegas.
Yeah.
That'll be the first time. So
Nice.
so I am team travel, but that's only because I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about the future. All right, this is a game of years, not the game of minutes. So I'm thinking, and that's it. Canceled. Get rid of Adventure. We hate them. So I'm thinking like, okay, let me build up my Amex points. I like my Amex ecosystem. We know. I really love my Amex, even though there's crazy stuff going on with them lately. So I've been hoarding just all my Amex points in hopes of being full embodied team travel for the future. Cashback, I get the simplicity and I get why it would make sense. I do have one cashback earning card, and that's my Curve card.
Nice.
That's at least the one that I'm actively using. But for me, it's more so just I'll handle the money right now on the statement credits. I'll handle that with the day job and all that stuff, investments. Let me start building up a cache of points that I could use for future travel, which I know is going to be way more expensive down the line than the food that I bought at Food Lion, yesterday. I just know that I'll be able to use those points for way more value. I'm trying to book a trip to Italy in near next year, and then probably 2025 we're looking to go like a Japan trip. Not doing anything crazy, just using my Amex points, the ones that I've been hoarding. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, I think so. Amex is your number one. What other points, I guess, do you accumulate or find value? And I know you've started to like Hyatt a lot more. So.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Calby's getting me crazy with the Hyatt hotels. Yeah. So for the most part, I've accumulated only. I have a bunch of currencies. I have Amex points. I think I transferred points, but I guess total like 430,000 Amex points that I'm trying to use. Nice. But I think they're valuable in certain cases. And actually, I'm doing a video right now that will kind of discuss that. And I have Delta Sky Miles and Chase points. You mentioned Hyatt, yeah, for sure. So right now I'm kind of I'm working with the God Trifecta at the moment. I know some people don't want to hear that term, God Trifecta, but I'm just trying it. Yeah, why not? I'm just trying it. It's something new. And again, diving head first. If I make mistakes, cool. But I want to see what happens. So I'm using the Curve card and the Bilt card combo. Earn as many Bilt points as possible. Transfer that over to Hyatt. Any Chase points I'm earning, transferring that over to Hyatt as well, so I can stay in the most amount of stays. The Nashville trip I'm doing pretty soon, all Hyatt stays completely covered with my Chase points. So I would say it's basically hoarding my Amex points for the aspirational travel, the flights in the future, and then I'm using my Chase points, my Bilt points, my Hilton points, and my Sky Miles for all like domestic hotels and flights, etc.
Yeah, and that's really, that is everything that anybody would really need right there. Have a good hotel type of currency, a good airline domestic currency, and an international currency if you need it. I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, but I basically talked about this exact thought process of like why I have cards basically from multiple lenders and why I have so many credit cards. But the fact of the matter is I organize my setup in a similar way. Like I really value my Chase points, probably the highest, because they are both my Hyatt, like my hotel stays, and I book a lot of domestic trips with Southwest because I'm in Texas and it's a pretty big airline here. And I'm not getting crazy value with Southwest. by any means. I'm getting like probably 1.4 cents per point on average, but still, I'm not paying for any of my flights that I take. So that's why I value Chase points so high. And then I have my Amex points that I'm basically stockpiling for aspirational travel. Same with like Capital One miles really right now. And City, technically, I can't even use for anything but cashback yet. So those are really just sitting there. They're on the back burner big time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, my Amex points are, it's funny that they're the same way for me right now because I'm in the same boat as you where I'm not booking aspirational travel right now, which I think that is the experience of probably 75% of our viewers. They don't book the aspirational travel. And I feel like that's like mainly what we talk about, which is why I'm trying to tailor my videos now more towards like the general public. Like my recent travel card video was like, this is for everybody, like anybody that's not just traveling to Bora Bora and stuff like that. Like this is for you because that's really the experience of a lot of people. So I don't think you should be canceled for saying that you're not taking big trips, but
well, the thing is like, you need to have time to do all those things too,
Right. Or if you have a family or something, I mean, it really complicates things when it comes to trying to get 10 cents per point for all your redemptions. Like, I don't think people care as much at that point, but
they're just trying to get there.
Yeah. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not renting with your Bilt card. You're using it mainly for dining, or how is that working?
So, I'm using it for dining. Exclusively at the moment. Just testing it out. Gold card's getting used, but not as much. But for dining, and then also doing that whole curve card Bilt trick where I'm kind of putting all my charges on some miscellaneous third card. I've actually been putting on like a debit card recently because I don't have any other MasterCards. Putting on the debit card, waiting till the 1st, so we hit Bilt rent day. And then I'm transferring all those points over to Bilt. So this way, it's effectively a 2x back on all purchases, no matter where, whatever I'm buying, it's 2x back on Bilt points, which in my evaluation, I'm usually getting 2 to 3 cents per point for Hyatt. So it's like really like getting like a 6 cents per point, for every dollar that I spent, that I use this curve Bilt trick. So that's basically what I'm using it for.
Gotcha. Yeah, because for me, I've had a mental roadblock with the Bilt card because I'm not moving to another rental right away. So I'm like, I guess I don't need the card at all yet. But it's funny to see that you could get value from it. And honestly, for me, I think this will be a video I make pretty soon is, basically who the Amex Gold card's like not for in a way, because I'm about to be moving from like downtown Austin back out to where my parents live for a little bit. And they're not in a place where I'm going to be ordering Grubhub and Uber Eats or anything like that. So I'm probably going to get a lot less value from the Gold card this next, at least, however long I'm there. And a card like the Bilt that gives me 3x, or I mean, honestly, even just a Chase card that gives me 3x points on dining could be huge. But the curve mixed with the Bilt makes that dining way more valuable than Amex probably will be in this next season of my life. But
yeah, depending how you redeem it. I mean, that if you do the trick, the curve Bilt trick, then all dining is 6x. 6x points per dollar spent with Bilt, which is pretty powerful. Depending on how people value Amex and value their Bilt points, etc. That might be possible. I think there is a real road to Bilt curve setup versus Amex Gold setup. I think there's probably a real world where that works for somebody. Because if someone just can't make use of one of the Amex credits, like the Grubhub credit, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but if you just can't make use of one of them, Bilt card will win with those categories, even factoring in like groceries.
Yeah, exactly right. I know that's definitely a super interesting setup that we could probably talk more and more about, but probably should avoid it. I know people are, they can go watch all the videos that y'all have been making on them because they're great videos. And honestly, I've almost convinced me to do it, even though I'm like, I don't need this right now, but maybe I do.
It's just fun. It makes you go crazy. Like I'm using my Yotta card for it now because, my little, I'm trying to cheat the system and try to get things for free,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. I was talking to Josh. I don't know if he mentioned it to you or if you realized this, but I heard that now the Yotta card apparently just changed from being a personal loan to a credit card, so it affects everybody's 524 rule now. I don't know if you knew or
well, no, I didn't know that. I actually it did report to my credit scores. I think it did affect my 524. Either way, maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. And
maybe it depends on when you applied, because Josh said that he applied for the card strictly because it would not report as a credit card.
He did have it before me, I think. Yeah,
because now they report it as a credit card, but they switched his retroactively, so it just added as a 524 card, and now he got locked out of a card because of it. And I think he'll make a video by the time we release this one about it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. But
the only thing I know that did happen recently is that they actually discontinued the credit card. I have the credit card. Josh has the credit card, I think. But they actually, I think if you go to sign up right now, you could only get the debit card, which is basically the same thing. It still offers basically the same bonuses. I think there's like one thing that's like slightly less, but yeah, you can still get it, but you can just get the debit card now. Unless they just opened it up to get the credit back. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a super interesting card, but yeah, I just didn't really have to do with this conversation, but something to note, maybe
It's
a video
interesting.
for you at some point. But
Yeah.
But speaking of some of your favorite lenders, we just talked about how you do love Amex so much, and I think a lot of people do. Like, they're still a top lender for sure. I'll slot them under Chase still, in my opinion, just because that's how I am. But
all right. Well, they got you a laptop, and Amex didn't get your laptop.
exactly right. Yeah. But I know that they've also had a lot of weirdness lately. We can put it that way, just with application rules, alleged application rules changing, not giving people cards or pop-up jailing people out of the blue.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you still have the same opinion on them now as you did, say, like 6 months ago, or what's your take on them?
Yeah. So opinion has not changed. I still feel they are the best and have given me the most amount of value, and they treat me the best. But I'm just thinking, I'm just cautious. I like to see what's going on. Let's see what's going on behind the scenes. So so I won't say anything's changed necessarily, but yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of thinking about it, like what's going on here, just kind of projecting out to the future. And I did so many. Oh my God, we did so many streams.
Yeah.
Talking about the weirdness with Amex, because here's the laundry list. All right, so we started out the year, maybe the year a little bit after the start of the year, with pop-up jails, which basically pop-up prison for me and a lot of people. Whereas people aren't getting offers to actually hit sign-up bonuses to get welcome offers. They're essentially saying you're banned. You're not allowed to. You're allowed to get the card, but you're not getting the sign-up bonus. So in pop-up jail, and that's been happening across the nation, whether you've had Amex cards or not. Seems like this is the first time that non-Amex holders have also been pop-up jailed. So that was one weird thing. Another weird thing is the whole thing with Konstantinos, where all of his Amex cards were canceled. This just kind of blew the lid off everything. In retrospect, we realized, hey, all of his cards were canceled without notice, without hesitation, and without an apology. But it was kind of justified. There were some weird things going on with his credit profile. He had authorized users without social security numbers. Okay, cool. Amex is justified, but it kind of just raised the red flag. And then some other things that followed through, which was now it seems as if tax payments are now, at least in the Amex universe, are not going to count towards the sub if it goes above whatever the sub amount. So for example, if it's $1,000 sub, I got the Hilton credit card, have to hit $1,000 in the next 3 months. If I had just a straight $1,000 tax payment, it won't count towards the sub. Yeah. If it was like $900 tax payment, it will count. But so anything that kind of pushes you over that threshold of like that $1,000 minimum spend, then the tax payment won't count. But we're still waiting for more data points. And then another thing, which was Wandering Doc, guy in our Discord, he and he's in a lot of comment sections too. He got letters letters to his house stating like, hey, if you left the military, we're not paying for your annual fees on your Amex cards 3 months after you leave the military. Yeah. I was like, it's never been definite. Like in the past, it's never been definite to where it was like 3 months after you're gone. Right. It could be variable. He told me like years sometimes would be paid after leaving the military. I don't know. But it's just a lot of weirdness, essentially. And also, sorry, referral links being taken away. My Amex Gold card referral link is gone. And my Hilton cards are gone. And I get it's a normal thing. It's a kind of a cyclical thing. Rat Squad will come in. Amex's Rat Squad will make sure there's no gaming of the systems. Let's not allow people to game the system. But this just seemed crazy. Like it was everybody. Like everybody I talked to in the Discord was like, yeah, my referral link's gone too. Oh yeah, mine's gone too. What's going on? Although I did find a trick. I found the trick to get it back. So if you're dealing with this, Spencer, you can do this. So I read online that you can lose your card. So you go in the Amex app and say, oh, I lost my Hilton card. They'll send you a new one with a new number. And I just did this. And today I just saw it showed up. I got my Hilton referral back. So
interesting.
If you have anything missing, just say it was lost, then you might be able to get it back.
Yeah, it's super interesting. There's definitely just a lot going on with them right now. And I know a lot of people probably just will pass it off as like a sign of the times, like it's just the economic environment we're in. Yeah. What worries me is the fact that they're now cracking down so hard recently when everybody else seems to be kind of loosening up a little bit. Like all the other, everything else seems to be trending in the right direction, but Amex seems to be really tightening down. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I don't keep up super heavily with everything, but it does definitely worry me a little bit. And honestly, just them doing all this stuff has made me look at them in a different light, because I think for so long, all of us on YouTube and otherwise have just thought that like, oh, Amex is the one bank that is my friend. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what people have thought. And I am now seeing more and more how no bank is really your friend. And you need to really be trying to just get value from the system rather than being like, oh, well, I really love Amex, so I'm going to treat them differently. I don't know.
This much is true. Yes. You can't be particularly married to any particular card or bank. That's right. That's very smart. Yeah, I agree with you. That's
Yeah,
true.
and I mean,
That's
I've
true.
fallen
Yeah.
victim to it. You know, like I've kind of lived and died by the gold card. Like I love it because I get so much value from it.
Yeah.
But when you start to see all this stuff happening, it kind of opens my eyes a bit. The only way it's really directly affected me is I got put in pop-up jail, even though I've been using my Amex cards. I only had 2 Amex cards and I couldn't get the platinum sign-up bonus for 150K, which is weird. But then after that happened, I started seeing other things come up, and now I realized that they also took away the welcome offer on the Blue Business Plus, which I didn't realize.
Yes, that's right.
That happened. And I don't have referrals on that card anymore, which luckily I maxed them out this year before that.
Yeah, nice.
Which is like a big blessing, but I don't know if they're ever going to come back or what. It's really interesting stuff that Amex is doing, because that makes that 2X card basically like, you don't need it now. It's kind of like the City Double Cash, in my opinion. Like if it doesn't have a sign up bonus, it makes it a lot less, something you want to get. I don't know, but there's a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah. I come, I come kind of from the stock world. So I'm generally very wary of things like this. People say I'm crazy. I look at balance sheets. I like to see our margins compression, our margins compressing, as the operating margin down, so the total money they're making after expenses, after business operations. I like to look at all those things, because that's how you can pick a good company for the future. Right. If you're not heeding these things, then you're not doing yourself a service. And if you don't see the red flags early on, then you're going to lose money. So I get it. Like there's not a lot to lose. Like obviously these businesses are not really going to go out of business. At least American Express, they're making some good money, etc. But and it's not going to affect any decisions. I like to be in the numbers like that. I don't know. I just like to be crazy.
Yeah.
And see these things.
Have you gotten anything that worries you from that perspective at all?
Not necessarily. I really have to listen to their earnings call. The only thing I noticed was a slight dip in their margins over the last couple quarters, but it seems to be fairly cyclical. And people mention like, sign up bonuses and stuff is just a drop in the bucket. Credit card acquisitions a drop in the bucket. So I get that. It's not a big deal. I think I'm too crazy for my own good to just look at things like that. I don't know, but I just like having the information at my disposal.
Yeah, I mean that's like the one thing, going back to like financial education, Jeremy, like that was the biggest thing I learned from his channel, is like a lot of people, especially in 2020 and all that, where everybody was a genius stock picker, but I think if you didn't get the basics of understanding how a company actually looks like on a balance sheet and everything like that, then you kind of did yourself a disservice. So I think what you're doing is really great, even if it's not directly giving you gains right now.
And this is what I brought up too, because I'll reiterate, like I get it, at the worst case scenario, somehow a business goes out of business and you lose all your points, right? That's just, but for a thing like a Chase, a JP Morgan, or an Amex, these are, century-old, that's not going to happen. They've been, but I'm just saying, like, what about, why is it so underrepresented in the credit card world? I don't know, like Bilt, I guess it's backed by Wells Fargo, but I guess, I don't know how it works, but like, is Bilt just a subsidiary? Is it its own business? Is that capable of failing? And it's not a public company, so we can't see the behind the scenes on Bilt. So it's like, what if I'm someone who's accumulated, 1 million Bilt points, and then all of a sudden I didn't see the signs, or we can't see the signs, but because it's not public, but maybe I saw like, margins are down. Now they're losing money per customer, etc. Now I better move my Bilt points out. I just feel like it's not represented, and it could be a thing. It could be a thing, and anything could happen. Any of these businesses could go under at any time for any reason. It's just we're in the world.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about someone like Bilt too, because they do have a lot of hype around them, and I think for good reason. But the more and more they add to the card, the more worried I get, because it makes them, of course, everything you add that's like really direct value to the consumer is going to give you less value as the employer or the company usually, or at least you're taking some of the margin off by doing that. But I don't know. You never really know.
And then someone in the comments is gonna say, if you post it, someone in the comments is gonna say, no, actually, all your points are back. It's just like FDIC, it's 250,000 points. You're back. I'm like, okay, never mind then. Never mind. There's always something that you don't know, right? We can only theorize, and then whatever happens.
I know that's the fun of these kind of unfiltered conversations. It's just we just get to talk about it. You can comment and correct us, comment and introduce more ideas. That's what we're here to do. But yeah, I think you do bring up a good point, in the sense that I think Luke, from Luke's Points and Miles, has like the best ideology when it comes to points, and his is to basically just earn and burn. And that goes for any lender, because the more and more you stockpile, the less not the less and less value you're getting, because we're not going to get Amex points devalued necessarily. But if you just let them sit there, something crazy could happen. You could lose all your points, or all their transfer partners get devalued, and now you're just sitting with a bunch of Amex points that you can't do much with. Like you do want to be actually using the points that you're earning. So that's a massive conversation that I'd like to touch more on my channel too. But yeah, I think I really ascribe to what he says on that.
Did that kind of go into your decision making for the computer, or at least I think you're thinking of booking some trips in the future? Have you thought about it for that reason?
Yeah, that's a part of it. Like I really had not redeemed many points at all up until that redemption, especially like a one big lump sum. And I think I knew that it would kind of open the gates for me being like, okay, if I can get a redemption for 1.25 cents per point, it's not massive, but it gets the ball rolling on me being like, okay, these points aren't just going to be me stockpiling them. Because that's just how I've always thought about everything. Like if I have money in my account, like I want to keep making that number go up. Same with points.
Right.
But I realized that they really don't mean anything until I spend them. And that was a direct way for me to earn a lot of value back from my points. And that's helped me to now I book. I mean, I've always booked a bunch of trips with my points, like domestically, but it opened my eyes to being like, hey, I can book redemptions that are, going to take 200,000 of my points, and I'll be completely happy with it because I realize I'm actually getting value from my spend and all these points I've earned. So yeah, it definitely played into the decision. But
that's great.
Yeah. Speaking of redemptions, I think that's a perfect segue, because I wanted to hear more about some redemptions that you've taken with your points and what have been some of your favorite, because even if you're not taking aspirational trips, I really want to know more of the domestic trips you've taken, because I think that's where the most value comes from, logically.
Yeah. So basically how I've kind of done it up until now is the way I've kind of segmented it in my mind now is like, okay, my Hilton points for the most part have always been used for mid-journey destinations. So I'm talking when I'm driving down from New York to South Carolina or vice versa, I'll stop in Richmond, Virginia, or I'll stop, I don't know, somewhere around there, midway through, and I'll just book a Hilton Garden Inn for like 20K points. And I've loved it for that. I didn't have to spend a ton of points. I get to stay somewhere and sleep, and then take the next part of the drive if I want to do that, if I don't want to go straight through. Yeah. So I've always liked it for those kind of mid-journey trips. And then kind of now for the more cities and kind of the more expensive areas where Hilton points are a little bit less valuable in certain cases, I'll use the Hyatt points, because on average I've been getting 2 to 3 cents per point. I've taken I'm about to take another trip to Nashville. By the time this is out, I will have taken 2 separate trips to Nashville, and that was all covered with Hyatt points. Matter of fact, 3 trips. Sorry, 3 trips to Nashville by this time. Nice. And all were covered the first one was some Hilton points, but for the most part, the rest of them were all covered with Hyatt points. So I don't know. I've just been like, okay, not the full destination, use the Hilton points. For everything else, use the Hyatt points. So I've used my points in New York, my Hilton points. I've used them in Virginia. I've even used them in South Carolina before I moved down here. I've used all my Hyatt points for like Nashville trips. Gotcha. And then Kentucky as well. And then in Florida, I did an Airbnb, which I love doing Airbnbs. Oh, nice. Yeah, but I didn't. As a matter of fact, here's a confession. Here's a credit card confession, credit point confession. People will hate me for this. They'll be like, "You're such an idiot." When I got engaged, we went to her favorite place, which is Cape May, New Jersey, and I booked an Airbnb. It was like $750, but it was super nice. I'm like, "This is the one." It was like across the street from a vineyard or something. It was a nice place. Yeah. So I was like $750, whatever. Okay, cool. And then I realized at that time, Chase was running an offer of 25% boost on Airbnb purchases when you redeem points. So I redeemed like 60,000 UR points, Chase Ultimate Reward points for that Airbnb purchase, and I didn't have to, I got that $750 back in my pocket. Yeah. So, but I'm like, had I hit those 60,000 points, I could have stayed 2 nights at the Palazzo Manfredi in Italy, overlooking the Colosseum right now. Like, right. But you live and learn, right?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was saying too, of like for me, what my points are supposed to do for me are help me to take trips that I wouldn't have wanted, like I wouldn't have maybe even taken because I didn't want to pay cash for them. Yeah. So that no matter what the redemption rate is, for example, you're not going to remember that redemption rate in 10 years, but you'll remember that experience.
It's true. It's true.
So I don't think, to me, I'm like, that's still a good redemption. And I think,
oh no, I'm going to remember it.
Yeah. You remember this, that sign up bonus of a Chase Sapphire Preferred for a vacation.
Oh God, for 1 night stay. Or maybe 2 nights. Sorry, I think it was 2 nights stay actually.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting topic because as numbers people, I think we do really want to get the most value, but at the same time, like it really should be about the experiences. So I'm trying to break my brain of that thought process. But
can I ask too? Have you made any bad redemptions like that?
I mean, technically, I think some people would think that the laptop was a bad redemption because that's the same redemption rate I got, but to me, it wasn't. I mean, I've redeemed. I thought I was going to make a really bad redemption recently for this Las Vegas trip that we're doing. Because I used my Amex points at a Hilton property. When a lot of people be like, "Oh, you should never do that." But what ended up happening was, well, honestly, the reason I got a good redemption rate is because it was a holiday weekend, which helps because all the prices are inflated in cash, so then your redemption rate looks better.
Right. Yeah.
But originally I thought I was gonna have to transfer over like 240,000 Amex points to Hilton to get the trip I wanted to, which I was like, that is insane. And I kind of passed it off in my head. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's way too much. Like I'll get like a 1 cent per point redemption rate, which is still, it's not bad for, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't really want to do that. And then I went back and looked at it. I was like, wait, I can transfer over 1 Amex point to 2 Hilton points.
Yeah.
So I cut my Amex points in half and I ended up getting like a 1.8 cent per point redemption, which for me is fine with my Amex.
You got a 1.8 cent per point redemption?
With Amex points technically, but for a Hilton stay.
Gotcha.
I mean? Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh.
At face value, I was like, oh, this might not be a good. If it was only Hilton points, I would have gotten about 1 cent per point, or like 0.8 maybe. But with Amex points, it ended up being pretty good. So I was like, I'll take it.
Gotcha. And actually, every now and again, they will have an offer of 1 Amex point to 2.5 Hilton points ratio, which that'd be pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably still not worth it, but it
depends.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't have Hilton cards, so for me it made sense. But for somebody with Hilton cards, it probably wouldn't as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely on the transferable currency game. But yeah, I guess I haven't made like any redemptions. I'm like, I wish I didn't do that, because I'm like, I can always earn more. That's kind of the fun of it.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a fun topic. I want to take some more domestic trips this coming year, especially if I'm moving back like with my parents. I'm not going to have a rental to really worry about. I want to take some more domestic trips and come visit people. Like I might come just visit you for a weekend and just hang out, and not to only hang out with you, but to come stay. So
yeah, I wonder if Eric will still be here. I know he's moving, but
I better catch him.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll be here in Greenville, so.
Nice. Yeah, it's always worth that trip just for you. Don't worry.
I appreciate it. I actually want to go to Houston pretty soon. I want to go to the Chinatown there.
Oh yeah, let me know if you want to when you're planning on doing that, because that's where my girlfriend is going to be living. So I'll be up there a lot, or down there a lot. Whatever.
Okay, will do.
But yeah, so that's I guess kind of all the credit card stuff I wanted to talk about. I know you got to go probably pretty soon here, so we can wrap it up with a couple final questions. The main one I want to ask, which I ask everybody, is just to hear more about your YouTube strategy again, what your goals are for your channel or for your business or whatever you want to call it in the next, say, 12 months. And you can make it as granular as high level as you want, but just kind of curious about that.
So the goal going forward, I guess it's 2 parts. Obviously, the main goal is always to garner community, garner friendships, relationships with people, have a good time on the streams and in the comment sections and everything. That's always the overarching, because that's the only thing that really actually fuels me in life for the most part. It's just the energy and that I get from all of that. So the main thing is just cultivating the community and just growing simultaneously and just making sure that everybody gets as much value as possible. So this way we're all prospering and year after year, in some form or another. If we're talking like YouTube strategy, on the back end, I'm very much a proponent of just volume, I think. And I, obviously I haven't made any tremendous strides yet, not like you. It's not like Spencer Johnson level, hitting 4x my subs,
But that's just full-time effort right there. You still have a full-time job, so
I guess, which I don't, I'm ready to be done with real estate, to be honest. I just want to go full-time YouTube, but I kind of am full-time YouTube, but I just, not full-time in income. It's just, I'm dedicating a lot of time towards it. I just want that to be. I honestly, as soon as I hit like a certain number of income per month, I probably just done with real estate. Yeah. Real estate. It's like whatever. It's really tedious. People are, I don't know. Yeah. I could do it and I could advise people and stuff, but whatever. All right. So YouTube strategy. I'm so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I just want to push as much volume as possible.
Yeah.
So what that means to me is, at least I would like to have 2 videos a week, like you're doing, but it seems like I'm just able to get 1 right now, trying to push that to 2. So if I get 2, cool. At least a stream a week with a new creator every single week. Possibly a mid one at some point soon, trying to figure out logistically with my iPad and stuff. So it's basically at least 1 video a week, 1 live stream a week, and a short every single day until the end of the year. In my mind, I just figured I want to get to 1 million views by the end of the year. And I was like, if I just factor in a 1% subscriber ratio, then 1 million views would equal 10,000 subs. And if you haven't seen my banner, the goal is 10,000 subs by January 2024, and I'll go stay at the most dangerous hotel in America, and people are now, fearful for me, and they're excited for me, and now that they're like in the comments like, yeah, I want to see you hit that hotel. Like I wouldn't do it, but I want to see you do it. And now I'm getting afraid because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get on a helicopter. I'm gonna have to get out to this hotel in the middle of the ocean. What if there's a storm and I get blown over and it's over for me? And I'm live streaming one day, and then that's the last anyone sees.
Oh my god.
So now I'm getting scared, but I'm gonna do it. If I hit 10,000 subs, so that's the goal at least. So, and I figured it's kind of on niche. It's like redeeming Hilton stays. And this is just the Hilton in the middle of the ocean, right? It's just
you're not actually getting any redemptions, are you?
Oh no, this is cash price, man. They don't even know what a point is. It's just
hey, redeem your points at 1 cent per point in cash, and you covered your trip.
That might work. Considering it's expensive. I think it's like $1,500 to be honest. For a 3-night stay, because you get the helicopter. I think you get skeet shooting on the side. Oh, wow. I think there's like golf too that you could shoot off into the ocean, which is not good unless they're biodegradable. But so that's the strategy. So I figured one short a day. In my calculation, it was one short a day, one live stream a month. I mean, one live stream a week, 2 videos a week, and that should equal like another 500,000 views by the end of the year in my averages, which would bring me to 1 million views. Do I think I'll actually hit 10K by the end of the year? Probably not. I don't think so. I realistically, I think maybe if I'm lucky, I hit 5, 6, something like that. I don't know. Unless things do well.
I think it's always important though to set more aspirational goals. I'm somebody that I always try to hold myself, like I set really low expectations for myself because I don't know why. That's just how I've always been, but I'm trying to get out of that headspace as well, and like reframing to be like, let's just shoot for whatever we can. And when you put it out to the public too, that's another step in helping hold you accountable, which I think is great. Obviously we can't necessarily control what's going to happen subscriber wise, but like you said, with certain ratios taken into consideration, I think that's a logical conclusion you've come to.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear, like the goal doesn't actually mean anything. Like 10,000 subs doesn't mean anything. Right. It's just purely, I think it's cool to have a goal. Just be like, because then I'll know, like, okay, even though 10,000 subs can be nothing, you could have 10,000 subs and one person watch a video, and that one person's valuable, but it's you're not like thriving as a YouTuber. So if I could just show like, okay, I put that goal in a year ago, and now I'm here, like, what the hell? Now I'm here, and like life's different, and because I just figured if you can get to that level, then you probably did all the right things along the way, right? You made the good, valuable videos that people cared about. The shorts got pushed to a wider audience. The live streams were engaging, so you probably have transformed in more ways than one. So I'm like, it's an arbitrary goal, but you had to put the right things in place to hit that goal, right? So I don't know. That was my idea with it.
No, I love that. And I think too, you should give yourself some credit because what you're doing right now, the volume you're putting out is a lot. Like I'm not doing the shorts. I'm not doing the lives every week. So for me, it's like I can't more easily than you for sure, do 2 videos a week because that's my main focus. I sprinkle in the other stuff when I can. Like I do 1 short a week.
Oh, really?
So it's not that time intensive other than the actual videos. So give yourself some grace there for sure.
Okay.
But also I think that once again, the lives that you're doing, I think make your community so much stronger, as well as like even if you don't ever hit 10,000 subscribers, which is not, you're going to hit that. The audience that you've cultivated with these amount of subscribers you have right now is so much stronger than a lot of people with the same subscriber count, which I think there's something to be said for that. Like you're building like that one true, like I've heard that the quote thrown around that like if you have 1,000 true like fans or 1,000 true people in your community, like you can basically take over the world. Yeah. And I think that's what you're cultivating right now, which a lot of other people kind of forget to do. And I think that's why people love your channel. So keep doing that, in my opinion.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks for that. I just hope I create a good community where we can have fun and on a Sunday or Saturday night and have a good time. And I try to do them as best as possible. Just kind of like say things and stay out of the way. It's like so because like if people were annoyed with me, then it's over, right? Like if I'm an annoyance to people.
No, I think you're doing great. I'm excited to see where your channel goes. Of course, everybody here should go subscribe, and I'll be leaving your links all down below. But we got to get you to that hotel. So
I appreciate
subscribers.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, do you have any other final thoughts, final words of wisdom for people before you head out?
Hit that subscribe button. No, I'm kidding. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that's how I ended off? Oh my god. You are a loser, Anthony. What is wrong with you? I don't know. I just, as far as myself, like I said, there's no other goal other than just having the community with everybody and having a good time. That's all that really matters to me in life.
Yeah.
If I can sort of at least support myself through that process and add enough value to other people's lives, cool. For advice for people, yeah, I think that if there's anything, like I mentioned earlier, just who said that? Was that Ralph Waldo Emerson? I don't know if it was.
But
I think it was. I think it might have been him. The quote. He said that do the thing you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain. And I do believe that wholeheartedly. I've seen that a million times in my life, and it's kind of how I've lived in any weird endeavor I've ever been in. How I advise people who want to do other things. Either some people that want to start YouTube channels, like just do it. Everyone just says just do it, so just do it because all of us have just done it, and you figure things out along the way. Make the mistakes. Who cares? I mean, we're only on this planet for a short amount of time, and who knows? I could be here tomorrow and not be here the next day. So might as well just do as much as you can right now. So I'll bring this up. I have said for many years that I am an optimistic nihilist. Nothing matters in life, so you might as well do as much as you can and do whatever you want because nothing else matters in life. So opinions of people don't matter. In a negative, right? Like if I get things wrong, I hate that. I don't want to be wrong, so I want to make sure I correct things so this way, I'm providing value. But as far as like, oh, your hair looks stupid, like, okay, who cares? So be optimistic and realize nothing matters in life. So you might as well just try anything. Your parents might say you can't do this. Oh, it's not a viable option. You can't do that. You can't move there. That's not going to work. Talking about from my own experience. Might as well just go do it because if you feel it in your heart, you got to follow your heart because it's going to lead you down some dangerous paths. But guarantee you'll come out better on the other side.
Yeah, I love that.
I think, at least so far. We'll see.
That's 100% true. I mean, I think a lot of people get stuck doing the normal day to day and they never take the chances that they really wanted to. And I think that is the important message I've taken away from you today is just jump into it and make those mistakes so that you eventually are really living like the life that you want to live and you're not, doing it on someone else's terms.
Yeah, as long as even if you're working, like, listen, I've worked 60-hour weeks. I've done it and I've done other things on the side. You worked a long time and you do the thing on the side. And the worst thing that happens is the side thing doesn't work. That's it. But at least you give yourself a 0.001% chance that something works. So might as well and go for
100%. 100%. Well, Anthony, thank you again for coming on today. Like I said before, everybody go check out his links down below. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Spencer, for having me on, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem at all. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video if you did make it to this point. Assuming you enjoyed it since you stayed until this part of the video, I would really appreciate it if you considered leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to hear more of my conversations with other great creators in this space, be sure to click into this playlist next. I'm not going to make him get up this time, but as always, Odin and I will catch you guys next time.